Okay, my cardigan friends, I'm introducing the circular needles. Do not be afraid. If you're making a cardigan, you will get circular needles, but we're not actually using them to knit in the round. Not that that's scary, and you can do anything you put your mind to, with me as a little sidekick, of course. But we're actually just going to use the lovely kind of flexibility of these to pick up the stitches around the front, the two inside front panels, to create a nice edging that we're going to do. So whether it be a ribbed edging or on the colour block cardie, it's just a kind of a stockinette stitch edging. But the first thing you need to do is you need to pick up every single stitch around here, all the way. I'm not going to do the whole thing because it does take quite a while. It's usually around 100-ish or more stitches. So I'm just going to show you how to do it. So what you've got here usually, well, you'll have some rib stitching on the bottom, and then that'll move into a stockinette stitch, which looks like beautiful V's on the front. So we grab our yarn and we grab our circular needle, and we're going to grab the left needle. Well, they're left and there's no left and right. So you grab our needle, and you want to find your cast on knot, and you kind of dig around in here, remembering that wool is not, it's like a super hardy textile, so you don't need to be super delicate with it. We're going to go dig in, and we're going to go find our first hole. So there's your knot, and there's your first hole. It's in between these ladders. The first hole is there, and you're going to grab your yarn and flip it over, hold the two strands, flip it over, hold the two strands, and curl it around your finger as if you were kind of doing your knit stitch, and you're going to pull that through. So you stick your needle in from the top down, and then you loop it over and pull it through, and now you've got a loop here. Now you're going to leave your tail end, and you're going to wind, oh no, that's nothing, that was my cast off. You're going to leave the tail end of that and grab the bit that's attached to the ball of yarn, and you're going to loop it around your finger as if you were knitting. Okay, so now what we're going to do is essentially we're going to hunt all the stitch holes, and we're going to put our needle in from the top. So there's my next stitch hole, if you can see. We're going to do every one. On the sleeves you skip every third. To do the edging of a cardigan you do every single one. So you go find your hole, you go in from the front, you wrap it around like you're strangling, just like a knit stitch, and you pull it through. And you do need to kind of wiggle as you go along. You're going to get used to kind of wiggling things, wiggling the tension of this, because it is a bit tricky. And like I said, you don't have to be precious. You go in from the front, there's your next hole, go in from the top, strangle, pull them through, and kind of wiggle them on. If you're struggling to get it on, it's because you're holding this tension too tight, so kind of give that a little bit of ease. Okay, I'll just keep going until I get up to stockinette stitch. The stockinette, so this is all the rib stitch. Caught a little something back there. Here we go. We're going in every hole. Let go, Manny, let go. You're holding on too tight. Okay, so that's the rib stitchy ones done. Now we're going to get into the stockinette stitch, but it's the same old. So you're just finding every hole basically, and the holes, see there's two yarn strands. The holes kind of underneath each double yarn strand, and you're going in from the top, in, around, strangle through. Got to release the tension. You just kind of, you really just keep kind of zhuzhing it along, the molding it, zhuzhing it. As I said, this yarn is, the whole thing is wool. It's not precious. It's actually super hardy. So like there's a big hole, seems weird, doesn't matter. It's all gonna look kind of all just evens out in the end. So you're just going along and you're just methodically picking up every stitch, and this is what it's going to look like. So where the circular needles come in that people get confused is they think they're going to get round and then keep knitting in a circle. But what you actually do is you pick up the stitches, pick up the stitches, pick up the stitches, pick them up all the way around. So what you'll kind of, this isn't how it's going to be, but you'll end up with all of those on there, and you'll end up here kind of with that full of stitches, that full of stitches and this full of stitches. If you were knitting in the round, you would knit in and continue without flipping. So knitting in the round, you just keep going without ever flipping over like we have been doing with all our knitting. But we're not knitting in the round, we are knitting flat on circular needles for the lovely flexibility and the fact that it kind of takes the weight off. So your working bit is these bits which are short, and all the other weight goes onto the wire, which is actually quite nice. So once you get round and you've picked up every single stitch around the entire, so that's the front inner seam edge, the I guess back collar edge, and the left front inner edge, then you get to here and you flip the whole thing over. So you've been coming around this way, you've been going this way, and you flip the whole thing over like we would normally, so that pretend that there's lots of loops and stitches on here, so that all the working stitches are on your left, and then you just knit as you normally would. Maybe I'll do it as if here, because I've actually got some. Okay, so imagine this, you've got to the end, and this is it. And you would have come along this way, you flip it over, and then you start, it'll be a knit purl if you're doing the ribbing, so you just start in there, knit purl like that, and you go all the way back and you do this about 4 times. So essentially the name of the game is that you'll flip it at the end of each row, and each row is going to be like 100 or 100 and something. To do this in a edging, you flip and you knit just as you normally would. There's no knitting in a circle. It might look like it's in a circle because they're all bunched up on these needles. It might kind of go the entire way around and seem like, but there will always be a break, so you don't have to worry. Any questions, let me know.